When you've got your business and you're working out what it should look like, should you focus on your logo or your brand? Should you even worry about having a brand, or do you really just need a logo for your business? And what should you start on first? And what kind of is that process and that order? In this episode, I wanted to chat to you about logo design, brand design, what the difference is and how you can create a brand that's actually really great and why you need more than just a logo. And I hope that I'm going to be pretty convincing in my argument for you. But there are some cases where you do not need a full brand. And so I'm also going to mention that as well. So let's dive in. So hello, if we haven't met before, my name is Jacqui and I am a brand and graphic designer that helps small business owners create their own incredible brand and graphics too. And either I'm helping them create it or my studio and the team are doing it for business owners. So we've got both of those sides. But a lot of the times I either get questions on Instagram or questions on YouTube or questions from people wanting to hire me at the studio. Jacqui, can I just get a logo? I just need a logo, don't I? Do I just need a logo? Most of the time, the answer to that question is no. The reason for this is that a logo is just one part of what we call your whole visual brand. I'm going to go into what a visual brand is, what a brand is, and when you might not need a logo, when you might just need a logo. But in essence, a logo is just part of this visual brand, and it only is a little smidgen of the story. As a business owner myself and as a logo designer and as someone who has a logo, I rarely use my logo. You barely see it. It's on my website. I sometimes use it on my resources, but what really features most is my overall brand. So what I want to start with is what the difference is between a visual brand and your logo, and then we'll go into if you need it or not and what to kind of think through around all of those things. So firstly, a brand as a whole is the intangible attributes of a business that help you to remember it, that help a business to be recognizable, whether that's visually or whether that's just the way that they talk or the quality of their products or service or the price point of their product or service. There are so many things that go into an overall brand. It's that brand recognition. It could even be their brand personality, or it could be the way that they speak. It could be their brand story. It could be even the way that the brand smells, if it's got a kind of a smell to it, if it's more a physical brand. It could be absolutely anything, the different kind of products and services that they have. All of these different things go into an overall brand. And what helps separate one business out from another? You think about all the incredible brands that you can think of in your brain and you've interacted with in your life, whether they're big brands like Coca-Cola or a small perfume brand that you love, whatever that brand is, they've got some sort of brand vibe. Like they've got like their ethos and their messaging, and they've got what they prioritize in life. Like, are they eco-friendly, or are they really playful, or are they really luxe? Like, what is their edge? That is part of their brand as well. And so there's all these different things that make up what a full brand is. And as a business, we need to have a brand because that's what's going to help separate you from the person who does almost an identical thing, but your focus, it might be a slightly bit different, that the edge that you put on that might be slightly different, and that's what sets you apart. Then within that overall brand is what we call your visual brand, and that's the part that obviously me as a designer focuses on, and that's what we're going to be chatting about today. But your visual brand is just one part of this overall brand story, this brand strategy, this brand messaging. And so your visual brand can be anything from your logo, but it's not just your logo. It's so much more than that. It's the fonts that you use. It's the colors that you use. It might be the patterns or the style of photos, maybe the different brand elements that you have. It might be the colors you use. It could be absolutely anything, even the different types of layouts that you have. All of those different things make up your visual brand. And that's what people kind of usually miss. They create their logo, but they don't think about this whole visual brand. And the reason you need a whole visual brand is because your graphics feature more than just once in your world. For example, for me as a business owner, you'll see you'll see my website, you'll see my YouTube thumbnails, you'll see my Instagram grid, you'll see maybe my business card if we meet in person. You might see my freebie download, you might see a photo of me somewhere, or my podcast graphics, or anything at all visual of my business. That is reflecting my overall visual brand. It's not just doesn't just have my logo on it. And so if your business has any sort of visual presence, the likely chances that you're going to need a full visual brand, not just a logo, are very high. I'm really struggling to think of a brand that doesn't need more than a logo. Like, even if you're a photographer, of course you need a logo because you want that to be on your watermark for your images. But you're going to need a Facebook cover. You're going to need Instagram posts. And unless you're only posting photos, which you could do, like you could only post photos that you've taken, and you could only have a photo. You might not do any other posts. You might not ever advertise that you have a sale. You might not ever advertise that you have a particular offer, like family photo shoot day or wedding prices or inclusions. Like, usually you would probably be doing some sort of posts like that on your Instagram, or your Facebook, just sharing the kind of offers that you have. And that needs to have your visual brand on it. But even if you're not doing that, you might still have a business card that you might bring to events with you. So that's what that's going to have on it, just your logo. No, it's going to need to have some sort of other fonts or colors on it. So usually for a business, unless your business only comes through word of mouth, and then when people hear you from word of mouth, they're only phone calling you. They're not going to a website. They're not going to an Instagram. They're not going to a Facebook page. Where they're not going anywhere other than calling you straight away. And again, not having any visual cues for you. That's pretty much the only time a business doesn't really need a brand or even a logo at that point, to be honest. So I guess my point is that if you are a business that shows up anyway in this world visually, you need a full visual brand to go with that. Because as I said, if you have a logo, that's really great. And I think it's a wonderful step in the right direction. But what fonts are you then using on your graphics? What colors are you using in your graphics? What kind of style are you using? What kind of photos are you using? If you don't know the rules around those things, then what you put out on your business card versus what you put on your Instagram picture versus what you put on your Facebook cover versus what you put on your website are all going to look different and mismatched. Because there's a huge amount of power inside a good visual brand. A good visual brand is going to help you to really set the stage for your audience. It's not just it's going to help people when they first come to you like, I understand the price point of this person. I understand what they're all about. I understand this. I understand that. I'm going to go into those things in a moment. And it also means that when someone sees you, they think that they're like, this is a professional business. I'm ready to work with them. Or rather than thinking, is this a business or is this just like a little side hustle 12-year-old has started? Even there's nothing wrong with that. But even if you're a 12-year-old who's starting a side hustle, give yourself a proper brand and it will look incredible. Is this a business that's only kind of just starting out for the sake of it, or are they actually committed to this? When we create a strong visual brand, it sets our audience up with confidence. It helps them to instantly trust you rather than going through like, is this a trustworthy business? If I give them my money, am I going to get anything in return for it? Are they still existing? Like, is it current? Is it all these things? People are questioning these things. And if our branding doesn't say strong, professional, thought through, considered, then people are going to be wondering whether we're worth investing in. Unless they've had a really great testimonial from someone really recently, then they're going to be second guessing these things. So your visual brand is going to help you to be recognizable. It's going to help people to be able to connect the dots if they see you. Maybe they see a business card, or maybe they see you as they're driving past your shop front, and then they go on Instagram to find you, or they get given they might see you on Instagram and then go over to your website. They might be given a flyer and then go over to your Instagram. Whatever that customer journey is can they recognize? Can they see, like today, for example, even just for myself, I knew someone did a really great post on Instagram actually on this topic. And I was like, I'd love to just refresh myself and get their opinion. And I couldn't think of the business's name. I tried to search for it. I had it has an A and an N in it. And I was like, what is it? I couldn't find it. So I ended up just going to my Instagram, the following list, and I just scrolled for literally probably 3 minutes trying to see the Instagram display picture because I knew what that looked like. And obviously as a visual person, I know what that looks like a lot more than maybe the standard person. But because she had a strong visual brand, like the graphics in the Instagram and the graphics on her display picture matched up so that I could picture that enough in my head that I could go and find it later. So is your branding recognizable? By recognizable, all that needs to be for you is using the same thing over and over, using the same colors over and over, using the same logo over and over, using the same fonts over and over. And then more than that, the overall style, the overall imagery, all of those things that I said are encompassed in a visual brand, using those things consistently begins to help you be recognizable. It also helps to build that brand loyalty. It means that when someone like might be scrolling the Instagram feed or sees your website or sees a flyer or something, that they've got that loyalty already built in, that they recognize you and they're like, oh yeah, that person, I'll go shop with them again. There's like a little bit of an inbuilt loyalty that happens when we have this consistent brand. It also helps you to attract your audience. If you've done the research behind your brand, then it means, and you know who your target audience is, it means that they're going to be drawn into it. Because when we know what our audience likes, we're able to create graphics that are going to attract them, that are going to draw them in, and it's going to bring them in like a bee to a flower rather than deterring them or being something that doesn't click with them. Obviously, there's always generalizations that you make around the colors that your audience might like or the fonts your audience might like. But overall, if you've done this research, then you'll be able to make informed decisions around what your brand should look like. In the same way, what you want your brand to represent, like if your target client is someone who's looking to feel really calm and relaxed when they work with their masseuse, you better be sure that the brand that you put out there as a masseuse, if your target audience wants to feel calm and relaxed, looks calming and relaxing. You wouldn't use fluoro yellows and reds. You would use calm blues and greens because you want your brand to feel calm and relaxing. And so you can also draw your audience in by making sure your brand evokes the right feelings that they are wanting from that kind of business. A really great visual brand also helps to set your audience up for the expectations around your price point. Are you a really luxe expensive brand, or are you a really affordable brand? Are you a really luxe expensive product or a really affordable product? Your branding can be able to tell that story and set people up to have that right expectation. It also helps people to understand maybe the way that you work, or the kind of, like, are you a calm business, or are you more of like, are you a masseuse that's going to help you to feel really like invigorated, or your masseuse is going to help you feel really calm? Like, working out what your angle is and representing that through your visuals is so powerful. It also helps to represent you. If you are a business where you are the main person performing your service, or creating your product, like me, for example, in White Deer, your brand should be based a little bit on you. It should be something that you like, that you resonate with, that represents you. Like, if you came to my brand and you saw all my purples and my bright colors and everything, and I talked like this: hello, welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to be... That's fine for someone to be talking like that, but it wouldn't make sense with my branding. My branding says like maybe fast-paced, colorful, bold, inspiring. Whereas if you are a slightly more subdued personality, maybe have more muted colors to begin to represent that visually. So it sets people up with expectations. They get to know you. And it also means that you feel like that you are represented in your brand. Like, if I had a brand that was just black and white, I would probably feel the need to be more professional and structured than I actually naturally am. And so having a brand that represents me, that I want to show up authentically with, helps me to show up more regularly, helps me to show up easier, because I don't have to feel like I have to hide a part of myself. So doing that is really helpful too. Obviously, it also helps with that professionalism look, like that second guessing. We don't want someone second guessing when they come to your page. We want them to feel like they totally trust you at a glance. And when you use all of these things consistently, when you use your colors, your fonts, your branding consistently, it just oozes professionalism. Even if your branding isn't perfect, if you do it consistently, it begins to really look like you've actually thought this thing through. You're committed to this business and you're in it for the long haul. And that really invokes a lot of trust in people and a lot of brand loyalty in people. And so that's why we can't just have a logo, because if you were just to have a logo, you can't have that consistency. You can't build that brand loyalty. You can't build this. You can't build that. But it is a great place to start. A logo is an incredible place to start. If you are feeling overwhelmed with your whole brand, you could just start by creating a logo and then build a brand out of that. Or, as I actually like to do it and how I teach my students usually, is if we create a brand first, it's actually a lot easier to create a logo. But doing it together is probably the easiest way, because you kind of start to think about your logo, then you start to think about, what color do I want to make it? I should do my brand research around this and around this. And so some things I want you to think about if you are creating your brand is as follows. I just wanted to interrupt for a moment to say that if you're enjoying this episode, I would love to invite you to my free 3-part video training to help you to create your own stunning visual brand, helping you to grow your business faster and to feel and look $1 million. If you're ready for the best year of business yet, then join over 1,000 business owners who have already taken part in the challenge to get started on creating your own brand. Join us today at whitedeer.com.au/challenge. That's the color white, the animal deer.com.au/challenge. Cannot wait to see you there. Let's get back to the episode. Firstly, researching your audience. Please research your audience. Make sure you know them. Make sure you know what their expectations are. Make sure you know what they want. Make sure you know what they're drawn to. Also, be thinking about what's your brand positioning. Are you that luxe brand or that more cheaper brand? Be thinking about what's your brand vibe. Be thinking about all of these things. And if you want, I've done a whole episode on this. If you are listening to the podcast, you can check out episode 110. That will lead you through exactly of my signature WOW model, which is going to help you think through each section you need to think through for your branding, what to base that on. There's also a video that comes with that. So if you're on YouTube, just find the video that says, what should your brand look like? Really obvious. And that will help you know what your brand should look like. So give those a watch or a listen if you want some more info on this particular part of this podcast. But in essence, if you've really thought this stuff through logically, then it means that you have some informed decisions to make. You begin to think, okay, so if I want someone to feel this when they work with me, then I can use a font that really represents that as well, rather than, like, if you want someone to feel really relaxed and calm, don't choose a really proper looking serif font, because that's going to make people feel really structured. Or if you want people to feel really structured and professional and corporate, don't use a childish handwritten font. Those are really over-exaggerated options. But in essence, if we're not choosing the right fonts or the right colors that back up what we want our business to say, then people aren't going to be able to connect with it or understand what you're about at a glance. And it's going to take you so much longer to warm someone up if they do hang around, because they're not going to realize that you are a relevant business for them. And so when you're creating your brand, you can create your logo first. And if you are creating your logo, think through things like concepts, like think of a clever concept, but don't make it too clever. Don't make it so hard that people don't understand that you've got a cool dog nose inside this cool little paw print, which is inside this zero, which is inside the eye of the dot. Like, it's too complex. Think of a concept, use one or two of your strongest concepts inside your logo, but don't make it too complicated. Your logo, as we said, is only one part of your brand. You don't need your logo to say everything. That's what your whole brand is for. This is just a little caveat I get over question a lot of the time, and that is the font that I have in my logo, should that be the fonts that I use in my brand? Some designers will say no because they think that takes away from the incredibleness of your logo. As someone who teaches DIYs, I say 100% yes. If you have a great font inside your logo, use that as maybe your heading font or your subheading font in your branding, because that will help them automatically tie together and look so beautiful and consistent without you having to do a whole lot of work to find a perfect font that matches your logo font. And so thinking through things like, okay, I've got this font in my logo, maybe that can be my heading font. You're also going to need a subheading font, maybe an accent font, maybe body text font. If you've got a particular color used in your logo, that can go into your color palette. If you've got a particular illustration style used in your icon of your logo, maybe that can be the illustration style of the elements in your brand. They don't need to be separate things. They're one and the same when they build a picture together. And so don't just feel like you need to do your brand and your logo separately. Do them together, or at least have one inform the other. If you've made your logo first, use that to inform your brand. Or if you've made your brand first, use those same fonts and colors and style inside your logo. There's no need to make more decisions than we need to as a business owner. You've got enough decisions to make every single day. Make this part of your business easy to do. That's the thing I want to chat to you today about your logo versus your brand. You do need a brand unless you are a business that has pretty much zero visual aspects of your business. You don't need to create, if you are literally only doing a business card and maybe a Facebook cover, and that's all your visuals need to be for your business, you don't need to spend days and days perfecting this. You might just choose a couple of fonts and a couple of colors and then use those in both of those places. But if you're a business that's going to be showing up on social media regularly, that's going to have maybe a website that wants to be around for the long haul, wants to grow your business and market your business really well, having that visual brand and investing in that, whether it's time or money at the start, will help you to be able to actually save so much time in the future, because no longer when you're designing in the next Instagram post, you need to go back to the drawing board and think, what fonts should I use for this? All of those decisions are made for you, and you can just dive in, whip up the thing, because you know what style you're doing, you know what colors you're using, all of those decisions are made. You can get out there, put the post out there, and get back to doing the important work that your business does. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you found that really helpful. Remember, logos are great. Branding is more important. I would almost say that it's more important to have a consistent brand than it is to have a great logo. In fact, I really do say that, unless your logo is going on everything, like maybe you're a product or if you're a business where your logo is going on lots of things, like a candle or a tag on a shirt, then focus on your logo a lot. But if not, your branding is probably one of the most important elements of your business and of your brand. So give that the time that it deserves and watch your business thrive and flourish as a result. So see you next week for the episode. And if you are watching this on YouTube, feel free to give me a comment. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please feel free to either reply to the question that's on Spotify or give me a review. I would love to have your reviews, because it helps people to find the podcast and helps more people to get incredible brands for their own businesses. So I'll see you next week. Bye.